about specific people who won, particularly Dr. Adumaku Kisi, who has always been with us on Pan-African television, and we also tried to push him a lot. And by the grace of God, he won. And through hard work, perseverance, persistency, and commitment, dedication, the will to do, he won. And I'm personally going to campaign for him in Anyasu Utum. Definitely, I'm going to do that. I don't care what anybody says. I'm going to campaign for him in Anyasu Utum. Likewise, I'm going to campaign for John Kuma in Ejusu. John Kuma, undoubtedly, a very good guy, great guy, did work, a lot of the groundwork, and he won. He won. You see, that's what it is. Be in touch with the people. Let the people feel you're a part of them, and you win. Don't think that you can say, oh, boy, me. Go to Parliament. It doesn't work like that. One other person that I'm going to be campaigning for is Honorable. We've started calling him Honorable already. Alhaji Baba Seidu Naledigu Gambaga constituency. I am there because you are winning 2020 elections. You are winning. In fact, you have won. Alhaji Baba Seidu, aka the People's Man. You have won. Trust me. Mark today's date. What's today's date? Today is 22nd of June 2020. I'm saying that you have won. Yes, you have won. This morning, I am excited to have in the studios for the first time Mr. Honorable Robert Kempis Ofosuware, former mayor of Tema. Yeah, this man, I was in Tema at the time. Hey, don't joke. Also here seated is Soprano Sylvester Sapon, who is gunning for the General Secretary position of the CPP. He came with the CPP flag. Can we see it?
Yes. Thank you so much, Kwame. The glorious CPP.
Hey.
The salvation of this country.
What is your motto?
Forward ever, backwards never.
Thank you.
We are the only people who can, in addition
But we are not seeing the flag.
Oh, in addition to political independence, we are the only ones who can guarantee economic independence for the people of this country. You can be sure. I mean, the clueless duopoly has been trying for the past 30 years.
But we are told that your people too have been going to see other people for some cash. Well, how do you ensure economic independence when the party is not economically independent?
Kwame, is hearsay. All of that is hearsay.
Sure. There are exceptions to hearsay.
All of that is hearsay. We have honorable increments at the leadership. We have some challenges, but we surmounted. I remember when candidate Akufo-Addo was struggling with Afoko.
Yes.
And then people escaped by the skin of their teeth. We will do better.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
I have also been joined in the studios by James Brown, who is growing to become my favorite on the morning show. Very, very a young guy who is very articulate, and I like his sense of analysis, on the morning show. He speaks to facts, and one of the reasons why I've always been inviting him to come on the morning show. With me, I just don't bring you. I bring you when it makes sense. And undoubtedly, he's proven himself worthy of the morning show. Good morning to you, James.
Good morning.
And I wish you all the best. In the next 4 years, you'll be going to Parliament too. I need young brain, fresh brain. I am telling you, we need fresh young blood in Parliament. That's what we need. Not Obuo.
Apparently, it's not like.
I'm told the victory was for him. Then he started singing one of his songs. Me so die. Now me can say me wini abano.
This morning killed you. That's fine.
Anyway, let me quickly take you through the newspapers quickly, before I share with you the topics for our conversation today. The Ghanaian publisher this morning says ADB moves to address risk in agribusiness. Government probes demolition of Nigerian High Commission property. Cocoa price go up. I beg your pardon. Cocoa Board CEO says that ruthless delegates hack out 40 members of parliament. 40. Asensu Boachi was also part of the people that I predicted was going to win. Bantama Asensu Boachi. Asensu. No, Asensu, I was happy. I was happy for Adama Okisi. I was happy for Asensu Boachi because Bantama is not a joke. And I was also happy for John Kuma. These three guys, man. Government absorbs WASI fees of 318,837 candidates. That's on the front page of the publisher. You can go through if you want. The Ghanaian Times about this morning says 40 MPs fall as big names lose seats in parliamentary primaries, and Ghana's COVID-19 recoveries hit 10,473. because 85 deaths with 14,007 confirmed cases. SHS opened today as heads pledge to support government to enforce COVID-19 protocols after disinfection by Zoom Lion. And Adjoa Safu just escaped through the teeth of a lion by just a scintillar vote. Yeah, margin, very scintillar margin, a small margin. Anyway, this guy too, I really like his politics. Hassan Tampuli. He tormented the guy. The guy said, you know what, I'm going to take the system. On the front page of the Daily Graphic, it says President outlines fresh interventions to cushion SHS students. MPP parliamentary primaries, 40 incumbents for. And I'm super excited that Francis Asenso-Boakye is taking over the front pages of the various newspapers. I think people really like him a lot. He's a very quiet gentleman who is in his corner doing his thing. And on the back page, let's see what's on the back page. It says APSU supports alma mater with PPE. 240 domestic workers from Gulf states arrive home. These are on the front page of the Daily Graphic newspaper today. Now, moving on to the other newspapers, the Informer says MPP guru blasts NIA boss, says he's a failure and as a disaster. MPP primaries, bloodshed, surprises and tears galore. You can see the picture of one lawyer who was beaten to pulp with his mouth, blood oozing out of his mouth, with his teeth coming off and things like that. You can see his picture. I said, I'm told he's a lawyer. I think he has to sue the person who did that to him. Avios Buhari management admits bad land deal as human rights lawyer attacks workers for fighting for their rights. Ghana loses fight against COVID-19, ranks 4th in Africa in number of infested cases. Well, Dr. Sarkodie's picture is there. The Inside newspaper says, albinos worried over Ghana's elections and ritual murders. Oh, Charlie. Where are Titio? Stranic Africa slams Vodafone over alleged breach of privacy, and Adam GH petitions NHC over EC register. EC register. That's the National House of Chiefs over EC register. Minority condemns destruction of Nigerian High Commission property. Okudjatoa Black's picture is here. Pay angry crying depositors with ESLA fund, said Tekpe. Heads of SHS, GHS ready to support government to enforce COVID-19 protocols following disinfection in Ashanti region by Zoom Lion. The Daily Democrat newspaper this morning says, missing cocaine at JRA, minority fingers Akufo-Addo. COVID-19 deaths will expose Akufo-Addo, says Mahama. We have nothing now to protect final year students, DHS. Head farmer petitions IJP over Bechim commander's attitude. These are on the front page of the Daily Democrat newspaper. Now, the Daily Searchlight today says SC places injunction on Republic Bank board chair. Mahama breaks silence on Airbus saga. Skull sheet for MPB June 20 polls. STC Hammer Automobile unveils a modern vehicle testing center. And moving on, says on the front page of the Punch says Carlos retains his seat in Tema West primaries. Massive development at Setre Kumewu District. DCA lucky to serve under President Nana-Addo. EC ready for a Buhari register for Ghana. So asking a question. Kwame Sefakind clocks 50 years old. John Kuma, yay! My friend John Kuma is on the front page of the Independent newspaper. John Kuma ships deputy minister to emerge as the Owusu MPP candidate. Calls for unity, peace, and hard work to retain the seat. John, I'm with you. John Buedu Wuntumi defy court order. Allow Asante Achim North primaries despite court injunction. Pay angry crying depositors with ESLA fund. Tekpe says that MPP's fear delegates mantra reenacted. Incumbent MPs uprooted like cassava. Asibe Yabua, Owusu Amankwa, and Ochim Abuaje casualties. Ochim. I'm told that Asibe said that his expertise in Parliament will not be demonstrated again. Crusading Guide, Electoral Commission compilation of the 2020 voters register. All right, it goes on and on. I mean, it's just embossed on the front page. I don't know what that's about. I've done the insight already. Let me just do the Go Street Business newspaper this morning. And it says, shaky outlook for cocoa prices during rest of 2019-2020 crop season. NBSSI extends application period for 600 million Ghana cedi stimulus package. And 5 years CDT bond to be issued this week, Treasury bond to be issued this week. And The Inquisitor says integrity thrown to the dogs, raging fire at GRA as board protects questionable Mate Kojo. And Manshia South endorses Napo's parliamentary candidacy for another term. And MPP primaries booted out sad case of chairman of various committees in Parliament. You have Dr. Marcus Ibeyabua, booted out Frederick Opariansa, booted out William Kwetu, booted out Collins Owusu, booted out Alex Kofi Adekum, sacked. Economic Times newspaper says job vacancies for first 4 months up by 61.7%. Banks profitably growth drop. HR expert calls for technology intensive investment. And I think I've done the Daily Graphic newspaper. So welcome aboard, gentlemen, again, and thank you very kindly for your time. So the topics that we've tabled for our conversation, really, Albino's worried over Ghana's election and ritual murders, I beg your pardon. The Insight covered that particular story. Also, MPP guru blast NIA boss says he is a failure and a disaster. 40 MPP MPs fall as big names lose seats in parliamentary primaries. Ghanaian Times. Government probes demolition of Nigerian High Commission property. The Ghanaian publisher. DRC President's Chief of Staff found guilty of corruption. That's a Daily Graphic story on page 5. Let me just read that story because it's an African story. And so by law, we have to start with an African story. Now, a court in the Democratic Republic of Congo has found President Felix Tshisekedi's chief of staff guilty of corruption. Vital Kamehe was sentenced to 20 years hard labor last Saturday after facing charges of embezzling almost $50 million, which comes approximately to 39 million pounds of public funds. Now, Kamehe's supporters have said the trial was a political move designed to prevent him from standing for president. The judge presiding over the case was murdered in May. Kamehe, who was also a key ally of a former president, is the most high-profile figure to be convicted of corruption in DRC, reports the BBC. He was convicted by a court in capital Kinshasa on Saturday. Much of the missing funds were intended to be used in a housing project announced by the president following his inauguration. Lebanese businessman Jamal Sami was also sentenced to 20 years hard labor in the same trial, while a third man in charge of logistics, the presidential office, faces 2 years in prison. Kamehe will also be banned for running for the presidency for 10 years after completing his sentence. This is plunging you into political demise. Anyway, let me quickly start that particular conversation with you, Soprano Sapon. What do you have to say about that? I mean, we've seen and heard on different occasions and in so many instances, you know, political apparatchiks and political figures engaged in blatant stealing of the public purse, but nothing really, you know, have happened relative to that. So let's hear from you.
Thank you so much, and good morning to Ghanaians and, you know, members of our glorious CPP who continue to, you know, show faith with our tradition. We will win the Flagstaff House soon enough, so keep the faith, members of the CPP and Ghanaians who look forward to a brighter future. With regards to the story of the Kanehe, the former chief of staff in the Democratic Republic of Congo, I cannot help but relate it to the Ghanaian situation. This situation reminds me of Honorable Martin Amidou, you understand, who under the leadership of President Akufo-Addo, we've invested millions of cedis to establish the Office of the Special Prosecutor. And unless the Office of the Special Prosecutor might feel that Ghanaians deserve some kind of explanation for what we consider to be a certain inertia, you know, I'm just disappointed. I cannot but congratulate the administration of Etienne Tshisekedi, the leader of Felix, the leader of the DR Congo, okay, for taking a stand like that. In my life and in my belief, I can never even imagine that the chief of staff of, say, President Akufo-Addo would even be tried, assuming she was in such a situation. You understand? Because 3 years or so after the establishment of the Special Prosecutor's Office, all that we can say is really that President Akufo-Addo just used the setting up of that office to keep a campaign promise. You understand? personally, I've also often wondered, especially when the special prosecutor started paying attention to the MP, Ayariga, I think in Bolga. You see, and the special prosecutor sought to take away the immunity of the member of parliament, Mr. Ayariga. When the special prosecutor is enjoying immunity, okay, under the 1992 Constitution with the Indemnity Act, you understand? The special prosecutor and President Rawlings and President Kufuor and people like the former finance minister, I'm talking about Dr. Kwesi Botwe, who broke the industrial backbone of the Republic of Ghana when he oversaw the shutting down of Gayhawk. You understand? That is one of the reasons we don't have jobs. But the point is that the special prosecutor, he's just there, to the best of my knowledge. We believe, we the members of the CPP, we believe that at minimum the special prosecutor's office should tell us what is happening. Is that office redundant? Can it do the job it has been tasked to do? And if they can, then when are they going to make a prosecution? We expected that under President Akufo-Addo, issues of corruption would be seriously prosecuted. There were so many allegations made by the New Patriotic Party against their Siamese twin brother, the NDC. You understand? And as yet, we don't have a single prosecution of any worthy notice. You understand? So we, the members of the CPP, we are fully convinced that the NPP and the NDC, they are in the same bed. I keep on saying this. President Mahama and President Akufo-Addo, they are great friends behind closed doors. Otherwise, how come that the Special Prosecutor's Office is apparently so redundant? So I cannot but congratulate the people of DR Congo. They have shown President Akufo-Addo the way to go to tackle issues of corruption. Now, Kwame, the story also discusses the fact that a judge was killed.
Murdered.
Yes, he was murdered. You understand? And that speaks to how dangerous our judges, their lives are when they seek to, protect the public purse. So then it set me thinking, is it the case that maybe Honorable Martin Amidu is afraid? Kwame, think about it. Is he afraid? Is that why he's not making prosecutions? Has the president provided adequate personal security for Martin Amidu, Honorable? So I cannot but think that it looks like Mr. Martin Amidu must be afraid. Otherwise, how come with all the millions of money allocated to him, he is still not apparently delivering to the satisfaction of the electorate? You understand? One of the reasons Ghanaians voted for President Akufo-Addo was because he kept on harping upon the fact that he would set up a special prosecutor's office and special prosecutor's office and and the special prosecutor came for about 5 hours. We watched him on TV in Parliament, talking a good game, talking a fantastic game. And then we are paying all these people at the special prosecutor's office with fantastic sums of money, big amounts, per diem, allowances, cars, air-conditioned offices, at the cost to the Ghanaian taxpayer, who is generally a very poor person. You understand? And still, the office is not living up to expectation. So some of us in the Convention People's Party, we think that the office probably ought to be abolished, okay, and such activities sent to the Attorney General's department. You understand? Because when the office was being set, I remember those in the NDC, the twin brother to the MPP, they were saying that, the Attorney General's office can handle the case. And the NPP was saying, no, we need a special prosecutor. 3 years after the fact, it appears that the NDC was right. The special prosecutor is apparently redundant. Or is it the case that he might be afraid to prosecute because of, for instance, what happened to the judge in the DR Congo who was murdered because he was pursuing a corruption case? So some of us in the CPP some of us in the glorious CPP, want to appeal to Honorable Martin Amidu to not be afraid. Mr. Martin Amidu, don't be afraid. We the people of Ghana, if you do the job of arresting these criminals and thieves that found their way into the government and have stolen our money, and you put them behind bars, we will protect you. We will protect you. Do not be afraid, Mr. Martin Amidu. Because if you continue, if by the end, you see, Nana Akufo-Addo's tenure, it's 4 months to go. We are very, very sad because from where I sit as a member of the CPP, I don't see how Nana Akufo-Addo is going to win the next election. You understand? We have been going around the country appealing to Ghanaians to consider their lifestyle status right now and how things have become difficult under Nana Akufo-Addo. And let nobody tell me free SHS, because we want a president that is able to do more than one significant thing at once. And we are tired of everything we say. They say free SHS, free. Thank you for free SHS. But can the president do something more significant apart from the free SHS? Can he take action to tackle all of these issues of corruption that are swallowing this body politic? And, you know, to conclude, Kwame, I want to point out that one key indicator of the fact that my disappointment might be right in President Akufo-Addo, my disappointment in President Akufo-Addo might be right, was the wanton display of corruption that was displayed this past week.
No, we're gonna get there. Why are you drinking the soup before the food?
Okay, fine.
So we're gonna get into that.
So God bless Honorable Martin Amidu. But please, can he do the job, or maybe can he resign?
I mean, I like the way you found the way of connecting the story in Congo, DRC, to that of Ghana.
Yes,
I mean, we can draw lessons and learn lessons from all of this. But Kempis, let's hear from you on this subject matter.
Before that, let me also use the occasion to extend warm greetings to your cherished viewers and the members of the great NDC East. And also use the occasion to extend birthday wishes to the founder of NDC, Jerry John Rawlings, because today is his birthday, 22nd.
Oh, okay.
He's 73
Happy
years.
birthday, Mr. President.
You see, the point is the spirit of fighting corruption in Congo should permeate through the governance system across Africa. Visitation of rat by the judicial system to corrupt officials should not be limited to the downtrodden. It should go up to the top, because you know the white collar jobs, they are easily susceptible to corruption than the people under the base. If you want to equate it to what we have in Ghana, when my CPB guy was making this submission, he linked NDC and NPP as a twin, as Siamese twins, because from him they lack the capacity to fight corruption. But I disagree with them. If it is in the case of NPP, I don't have problem. But in the case of NDC under Mahama, it was evidently clear that the Jira case, so Abu Gapeli and Azibidon, they are being incarcerated. And quite apart from that, others too, like Jefativo, what happened at the Ministry of Transport, was told to leave office, and other corrupt NDC officials or people who were corrupted during the days. President Mahama cracked the whips. But if you want to relate it to the present situation, where I can list an avalanche of scandals under NPP government, the box issue by Alfred Obin, and what I view, they were left off the hook. So in comparing, you must be also be mindful of the fact that NDC has a will to fight corruption and nip it to the bud, or even stem the tide, than NPP. And I like the courage by the court in DR Congo, that yes, if you place in the highest political office, if you take advantage of that to dissipate the resources of the government or the resources of the country, you won't be left free. If we can do similar or same in Ghana, I think it will send shivers of fears down the spines of people who are nursing the disease of what cashing in to corrupt the system. You see, the point is, it is true that the office of the special DC was created to fight that. But Muhammad did that without the office of the special prosecutor. You don't need. We have got the Attorney General this day. We have got the Attorney General. We have got the DPP. They have the prosecutorial authority or body to fight corruption. But like what he said, I also agree with him. Where he alluded that it's like the office of the special prosecutor was created just to fulfill campaign promises. But as to whether he has been able to deliver is another question yet to be asked. If you see the 4 years, we are in the 4th year of MPP tenure, and I cannot single-handedly point to an official of NPP who have been tagged to be corrupt, be arraigned in court, what they do is that Akufo-Addo start to clear them at the Flagstaff or the Jubilee House. So before the thing comes to public domain, the decision has been watered. So if that wherewithal that executed by the people of the ER can also be done in Ghana, I think those who have got the intention of becoming member of parliament or becoming minister of state to amass wealth will think twice. I
mean, look, most importantly, we have looked at the issue from the perspective of the prosecution and the subsequent incarceration. What we have failed to acknowledge is the political underlying reasons that may have occasioned this particular decision reached by the court. Indeed, the gentleman has the potency of going into contest or compete against Felix Tshisekedi in Congo. And so another school of thought is also of the firm belief that it appears that, you know, they are trying to put him in a certain hole in order that he will not be able to now go and contest. Because look, if you look at the decision, which is very interesting, that we have found you guilty of the said offense. You are going to be incarcerated for 20 years. Subsequent to that, you cannot be engaged in any political activity for the next 10 years. Subsequent to your release. So it begs the question.
You see, but the point is, let us first and foremost establish one thing: whether really he did that. Then secondly, even if you are convicted on a criminal case or issue, and if you spend a day in incarceration, you can't still, it debars you from holding political office. That one, it is clear. And after it is 10 years. So regardless of the fact that he has been incarcerated for 20...
I get about that. I get the explanation from the perspective of the law.
Yeah, of the law.
But we also know that we have political scapegoats.
Oh yeah, that one is a fact.
You know, we have political scapegoats. And I mean, of course...
But it was given a fair trial.
I like where you're going.
Yeah,
I like where you're going. Well, I mean, yeah. The principle of
briefly. You see, in addition, the judge who was originally handling
was murdered. So it's questionable.
I would put fear. But who was standing to benefit from the murder of the judge?
Exactly.
You see, that's the person who stood to be convicted.
Yeah.
And so I also want to congratulate the succeeding judge, the one who succeeded. You understand? In fact, I think that when we finish the program, I'll try and send him 50 Ghana cedis by MoneyGram to congratulate him. Let's buy a drink. But the point I'm trying to make is
I'll take that 50 Ghana for free.
we should big up our judges, so to speak. You see, we should encourage them. We should write letters to our judges and those in leadership who take such positions. We should send them flowers, birthday cards, invite them to our events, important events. Let them know they are cherished.
That's a very good suggestion. I like that.
Thank you.
Now let me come to you, James Brown, and have your take on this subject matter.
Thank you so much.
Right.
First of all, let me say a very good morning to your cherished viewers and also to my senior colleagues here. I'm so excited to see them. First of all, I think issues about corruption is an issue that everybody must take active interest in. Because when you are put in a position where you are managing public funds or you have access to state properties and all that, you must be careful because you hold those things in trust. And so anyhow you administer those things, you must be held accountable for them. I'm worried that, it begs the confidence that we put in people who stand for public offices. Because then people begin to make the assumptions that everybody who wants to run a political office has an intention to, as it were, embezzle state property or public funds. That's very unfortunate. In fact, anytime I hear issues about corruption, I don't know why we only limit it to people within the political class. Just recently, the COVID issues that happened, you can tell how private individuals, how they position themselves to make monies, extra monies, when ideally it shouldn't have been so. People sold goods at escalated prices. People really did not care for humanity. They were looking at their selfish interest, and so we must look at it from a holistic point of view. But I'm excited that regardless of who stands trial, the courts like DRC Congo have been able to do. They were very bold and decisive on the matter, and the judge must be commended But like you rightly put, what about the political underpinnings in the ruling? You cannot rule that out. And I'm assuming or guessing that if this had happened in the case of Ghana, perhaps a political opponent, and like up to today, we don't know even who the running mate of the NDC will be. Let's assume. I'm making a point because it's very instructive that the person who has been sentenced, somebody who is a high political figure, and stands to participate heavily in the next general elections in DRC. And so if you have such a judgment that will whip him out of the system, you can always ask the questions that what are the underlying factors? Could it be politically motivated or so? And so we have to ask all the questions. And I know that there are several NDC apparatchiks who are standing trial. Same with NPP people who have been questioned about some of their dealings as far as public funds is concerned. But what we must understand...
Is it standing trial or questioning?
Hold on, sir.
No,
let him just...
No, the point I'm making is that
yeah.
matters of corruption, we must be able to...
Now, I think you should come back on track. You're talking about NDC apparatchiks over in...
Standing trial.
And then MPP persons. So I want you to... Your chain of thought must continue.
Yes.
I think
don't worry. I'm not worried at all with this interjection.
Please.
All I'm saying is that there are processes before we are able to arrive at the conclusion that persons of such nature have been involved in acts of corruption. It is not, a mere conjecture that people will say this is corrupt. The Office of the Special Prosecutor is an office that has been established to ensure that some of these individuals who have embezzled state funds are brought to book. And you also remember that his portfolio, even as a special prosecutor, has been, been embattled in court. Just for recently, a ruling that was made that he's entitled to work and all that. All I'm saying is that corruption is not anything that anybody at all should condone. Everybody must be able to stand up against it, whether it is within a ruling government or it is within an opposition or even private individuals who in their small ways or in their small corner are involved in acts that are not proper. And so for me, I am so happy about the ruling. All I want to say is that when times like this happen, we must put the confidence into the judges to deliver. But we must not be asking questions whether it is a political persecution. Because as in this case, in our own country, if you find this current government or the Attorney General or whoever pursuing a case against somebody who perhaps served in the erstwhile administration, you find different narratives. People question, the genuineness of the trial. People think that because perhaps you are in the opposite side, then we are persecuting you. But really, people must also be able to be accountable, held accountable for the public trust that they hold. And so we must not change the narrative when it affects us. We must open it up and make sure that anybody who has embezzled funds, whether in government or in opposition, must be ready to face the full rigors of the law and must be answerable and accountable to the people of Ghana. That is my take on that.
No, I mean, and I share in that last part of your submission, that there's a certain fiduciary relationship between government officials and the people, which fidelity must ensure proper and fair accountability, in order that, the people will be satisfied that the people that we entrusted our power with have been able to demonstrate that, they can take care of us and they can, and which is very, very good. But I mean, judging from all of these incidences of alleged corrupt practices that have, if you will, advisedly engulfed this particular administration, which have not been looked at to the core, raises questions about our commitment, really, to that fidelity that we must owe to the people. So, I mean, there were several of them. There were allegations from, for instance, at the boss level, Alfredo Bing, also with the Kwame Danso, at Maritime Authority, Kelvin GVG. We also talk about, the Deputy Chiefs of Staff. We talk about cash for seat. We talk about, there are a plethora.
The ECG thing.
A plethora, the ECG PDS scandal, a plethora of alleged corrupt practices, that have been put at the doorstep of this particular administration, but without any attending specific legal action taken in respect of this matter for the satisfaction of every Ghanaian? What would you say to that? Because your last submission really makes a lot of sense to me. Accountability is a must. You understand? We must foreclose that. But in our attempt to do that, we must not lose sight of the fact that the people must also have a certain level of confidence in your attempt to address the accountability matters. Have you been able to achieve the confidence that the people must have in government? And I'm sure that you know that people have become unconcerned really about the political dynamics owing to primarily the fact that we have not been able to address quite significantly the issues of corruption in this country.
No, I think the issue of corruption, it didn't start today. We must appreciate the fact that a lot of progress have been made compared to what used to happen in the past. All I'm saying is that the commitment towards fighting that menace, we must congratulate it first of all. That we have all understood that practices, corrupt practices are not things that we must condone in the public space. But very importantly also, mere allegations, or let me say even allegations itself, does not mean somebody should be convicted. These are allegations, and it must be proven beyond doubt. So the fact that we have people who have properly carved, issues out of a certain deal does not necessarily mean that those people must be nailed to the cross, and that automatically.
I think the boss was the boss is the clearest of indications that it was not a mere allegation. Allegation that leads to the sack of a CEO goes beyond mere allegations.
And so
it's an indictment.
And so sacking him isn't it punitive?
No, that's not good.
Hold on. Let him land. I'll come to you, sir.
Isn't it punitive?
I want to give him an opportunity to respond. Yes,
isn't it punitive to sack somebody?
Okay.
You get it. So I'm saying that the judgments may vary depending on the issue.
But this was not a judicial.
No problem. I'm saying that there are processes. So who has taken the matter to court? Who has?
But who has to? Whose responsibility is that?
No. I'm asking you. Who has taken it to court?
The special prosecutor reserved that right to do that.
No, but you understand that
reserved that right to do that.
But there must be processes.
But
process?
But the special prosecutor has the power to initiate the process. They haven't. I think somebody even petitioned the special prosecutor on this side.
I don't want to create a wrong impression
please,
as if I am trying to defend acts of corruption. I have said from my opening remarks that any act of corruption must be eschewed from our public space, because we all have to protect the public purse and make sure that managers of this country are people who will be held accountable for every single thing they do. But I just don't want to leave it to mere conjecture and people who are very good at spewing allegations. There are processes in this country, there are laws. And so if you have any reason to believe that that have been done officially, and you have every proof to tender to the court, what stops you?
Okay. I very much subscribe to that assertion that individuals who feel, because even the Constitution grants us that liberty,
of course,
to prosecute some of these agendas. I agree with you. I'll come back to you again. But Tempest, you want to make a point? Please.
In Ghana, under Mahama, who instructed the AG to prosecute the officials of JIDA, and as a result, we have Abu Gapili and the rest in jail. But in your case, we can list an avalanche of cases where the people were cleared by President Akufo-Addo. So don't say that we should wait and allow somebody, another citizen, to petition the government. The government has got the system there. Even if it is, if even it's not the case of the special prosecutor, we have got the AG office. The man at this Public Procurement Authority, one Ajay.
Yes, I remember that case.
One Ajay, what have been done to him? He was told to step aside. But that's not enough. That's not. You were saying that those people must face the full rigors of the law. So stepping aside constitute full rigors of the law.
But we have seen.
I'm not stepping aside. Constitute full rigors of the law.
People were. I'm
coming.
When you were in government, it happened.
Yeah. No. Somebody like Victoria Ama's case.
Maybe he's referring to every
Anchor was elevated to the president.
Elvis Amfria case, there were no clear-cut corruption.
It's easier to defend.
The commission report. There was no clear-cut corruption case against Elvis Amfria.
For you, you don't want to accept the report.
But dissipation of public funds. Dissipation of public funds, because it was quite axiomatic that happened. I mean, I don't want us to go back and look at, but it wasn't.
They did not establish that Elvis Amfria dissipate public fund.
Who set up that commission?
Misappropriation is different from dissipation. Yes, misappropriation is different from dissipation. But in your case, give me one government officials who have been arraigned before court in respect of corruption charges against him. Give me one. We have got, I'm going to say, plethora of cases. We have got the public procurement authorities guy, one Ajay. We have got Bachia Jaku. Bachia Jaku issue. Yeah. We have got Alfred Obin and the rest. We were all told to step aside, but they did not extend for them to be arraigned before court. So there's going to be punitivity in your regime or in your era as compared to NDC.
Same with them. Yeah, please. You see, when I look at the back and forth.
Now look here.
Sure. When I look forward and backwards, I cannot help but remember the wise words of President John Mahama when he said, President John Mahama, those prophetic words. He said that any comparison between the New Patriotic Party, the record of the New Patriotic Party, and that of the National Democratic Congress is an exercise in mediocrity. And with respect to my colleagues here, you are bickering. You understand? And this is what we in the glorious Convention People's Party has been saying, that these two people
an opportunity for you.
Yes, they cannot deliver. Look, this is the point I want to make. You see, I remember President J. Kufuor. Apart from the leader of the country, taking action to protect the public purse, we want to see him to be seen to be taking action. To be seen to be taking action. We don't see that with Nana Akufo-Addo. We saw that with J. Kufuor, for instance, when he set up the fast-track high courts.
Yeah, but to deal with Chatuchikata.
But what I'm saying is that when Nana Akufo-Addo was campaigning and he talked about the Special Prosecutor's Office, we thought it was going to be fast-track court 2.0. It turned out to be just a apparently redundant office. You understand? He talked about the fact that the gentleman, Honorable Amidu, was taken to court. But once he was still working. He could have still been taking action. The issues of corruption are not only for politicians. Actually, the most corrupt people in this country are the civil and public servants. There are lots of thieves and criminals hiding within that organization. And we are saying that unless the Public Services Commission is strengthened, and some of these political appointments should be taken out of the ambit of the Flagstaff House and given to the Public Services Commission, and that commission be empowered with several laws, etc., to protect it. You understand? But ultimately, my appeal to the people of this country, because this conversation is about Ghanaians, and I want you to look at your lives over the past 3 years, and then go further back during the time of President Mahama. Compare President Mahama to President Akufo-Addo and ask yourself, how have your lives been improved? Are you going to continue to put your faith in the hands of these Siamese twins, you understand, dabbling in acts of corruption? Or are you going to break free, my fellow Ghanaians, and look forward at the convention, look to the Convention People's Party, where we have a plan, you understand, to put the youth of this country to work, to tackle issues of corruption, to change the structure of this economy, and hold civil servants, corrupt civil servants, and public servants accountable. And in closing, I just want to say congratulations to the Auditor General. Another fantastic appointment by Honorable His Excellency President John Mahama. He is the most prominent anti-corruption man in the country right now, even more than Mr. Martin Amidu, who we believe is being paid and he's not delivering. We are very disappointed with Honorable Martin Amidu. We think he should step down.
That brings this topic to a closure.
Brother.
And the WhatsApp number is 0543 889646. We have a little challenge with the other WhatsApp number. We're fixing it. It will definitely come back on very soon. But before then, 0543 889646 is the WhatsApp number that we are using for the purposes of receiving and reading messages on the morning show today. I beg you to share with us what your thoughts and opinions are to that particular WhatsApp number. I think it's on your screens now. It's 0543 889646. Let me quickly remind you again that we have here in the studios Honorable Robert Kempis Ofusuware, who is the former mayor of Tema. I'm sure people know him as Kempis, more like Kempiski. And he's here seated. Also, James Brown is a very articulate young man that I personally admire so much. He's also here seated representing the New Patriotic Party. And also here with us is the fireman, the firebrand, highfalutin soprano support Sylvester. Now, let's proceed and look at the other issues here. And I think it's imperative, without any hesitation, to look at the president's speech yesterday, address yesterday. Now, in looking at that particular address, there are some takeaways and there are some disagreements. And I feel that sometimes we must disinfect the minds of certain people who feel that it is always okay to pander to certain whims and caprices without, identifying really what the importance of that particular session is or are. Now, the president says that schools obviously must be open. They are going back to school today, I guess. But many of those, including myself, who've asked a very pertinent question about our preparedness, really. And Kempis, I'm starting with you. Our preparedness towards the reopening of schools. We've seen that Zoom Lion has taken a head start in disinfecting the schools. But beyond the disinfection, really, lies the question about testing. Questions have been asked why we haven't consistently tested these students, so that we are very much sure and convinced that when they go back into the schools, they are not going to infect the tables and the chairs and the dormitory blocks and things like that. What would you like to? What would be your remark on this matter? Even before we look at the number of cases that
you see, the point is, I think the students were the first to be told to stay home. Long before the lockdown. And 100 days of COVID-19 was about 3 or 4 days ago. And they've gone through a lot. But the point is, I consider the student, especially the second cycle, I'm not talking about the tertiary, the second cycle student, as still vulnerable. In a sense that if they come to, let's say, for example, social gathering, if I say social gathering, maybe dining hall, assembly, classroom, and the rest, now for sure, they will observe the precautionary etiquette. That one for sure. Because there will be some supervisory role played by the teachers. But what about if they are being left on their own to the dormitories? Who will be there to check whether they will observe the precautionary etiquette? To me, maybe the Ministry of Education, together with the presidency, consider so many things. And maybe they realize that the best option was to allow the students to go to school. But some of us were against that, in a sense that if my memory will serve me right, either UK or America, they started
China.
They started.
Oh, sorry, Italy.
They started, and the effect was devastating.
Yeah, they had more cases.
Yeah, yes, the effect was devastating. First, we have that perception, and it is wrong. It is erroneous that the COVID-19 is alien to this. To young BC. But if you go by the statistics and by the demography, you realize that in America and the rest, the young ones are even being more if this is affected than the older ones. So to lead them from their parents to the school, although the teachers and the rest, they are like in local parentis,
yeah.
Yes, before the student.
But local parentis, you don't
in place of their parents.
Oh, okay. Is that English or Latin?
Latin, of course. It's illegal. It's actually used in law.
But the point is, beyond that's subvention rule when they appear, because they said they should be seated 25. that is observing the social distances in classroom, in dormitory, in maybe assembly and the rest. And they were also, they've also disbanded like religious activities in the school, sporting activities in the school.
For religious activities, it's allowed. Just
no, I mean in the school. In the school.
Is it allowed in the school?
No.
I think for religious...
No. In the school, no.
Really? Because
Yes.
I thought I heard something like it's allowed.
It's allowed. For religious...
observe,
yes.
and
but
it's
for
allowed.
sporting and
My
other
producer says
things-
it's allowed, yeah.
Okay,
My producer says it's allowed, yeah, in the schools. Yeah.
But beyond that, if they retire to dormitories, how are we sure that they will observe the precautionary etiquette? And if care is not taken, the disinfection is all right. But the point is, the school, to me, I see it as exercise in futility, the disinfection. If the disinfection mainly was to keep the COVID-19 at bay, the schools were closed. So who were there? Who were the schools to be infected? The schools were closed. And we were told that the COVID-19 is not airborne. So it doesn't travel from one, but it is through personal contact.
Do that again, please.
I mean, the disinfection of the schools.
No, I think COVID-19 is airborne.
Airborne.
Yeah.
Okay, who has come out?
Yeah, it's airborne.
Okay.
It's airborne.
But my point, all what I'm situating my decision on.
For us to do the
Yes.
the right thing.
Especially if they leave, they will get house masters, they will get house prefects and the rest. But the house prefects are their colleagues. Are their colleagues. So I think care must be taken. And according to the decision from the president yesterday, they said in every school they will reserve one dormitory as an isolation center in an event, in an unlikely event that if any of the students get infected, then they will be given first aid or they will be treated. And also one pleasant news is that the discharging protocols by WHO by this asymptomatic patients, those who test positive but they are not likely to infest, will also reduce the number of infected people, because hitherto they were all joined together. Going by what WHO directives meant. So which means somebody can get, but without showing any sign of symptoms, then the person is not likely.
Asymptomatic, yeah.
Yes, the likelihood is not there for this thing to be infected. Yeah. So I think if that is in their perception is there, the rate of infection will come down. But all the same, we must be very careful, especially when they return to their dormitories without any supervisory teacher. This is supervising them. That's where my fears.
All right. So the WhatsApp number again, let me quickly remind you, is 0543 889646. 0543 889646. You're still watching the newspaper review segment here on Pan African Television, and this is undoubtedly the most watched Good Morning, the most watched morning show in Africa currently. Now, people are asking me about my designer, the guy who does my my kaftan and things like that. Let me just give his number out. His number is 0242 53 6003. 0242 53 6003. His name is Peter. When you call him, just mention me. He will give you a great discount, okay? All right. Let me now come to you, Soprano, on this subject matter, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Kwame. Talking about students going back to school, they talked about testing, okay? And, it reminds me of President Trump. I was listening to him this past weekend on CNN, and he was saying that, he's not so much for testing. Because the more you test, the more you
the numbers increase. So they should just leave it.
They should just leave it. We don't want to think that President Akufo-Addo would go that line. I think it's fair to say that President Akufo-Addo has been pretty engaged on the subject of this COVID-19. He's done a good job. There are those who even think that the Ghanaian approach could be a template, for several countries around the world, and our performance is amongst the top in the world. But that's not because of Nana Akufo-Addo. It's because of the Ghanaian people being who we are. Good people who obey instructions and other stuff like that. You understand? But Nana Akufo-Addo, our dear leader, is at the top right now. So we'll give him a little bit of the credit because he's also a Ghanaian. You see, we in the Convention People's Party are always looking for solutions. We don't like this whole business of talking and conjecturing too much. You understand? Now, COVID-19 is clearly here to stay with us. Our students need to go to school. Take note that this September, if the academic calendar is maintained as is, then we are expecting more than 50,000 new students to apply for university or tertiary admission, because they are the first graduating student or graduating set from the free SHS. Exactly. That significant one item that President Akufo-Addo has managed to do in 4 years, 4 long years, one significant item. We appreciate that. You see, so we see that the country must move on. Then we are faced with this issue of lack of a vaccine or a clear medical, a medical approach to resolving this issue. So far, it looks like we are using the preventive approach. You wear a mask, you social distance, you wash your hands. But it can only go so far.
But that's all there is, brother.
Yeah, but the CPP thinks there's more, and I'll tell you in a moment. You understand, Kwame?
Is it you or the CPP?
We in the CPP. We in the CPP now.
You have a vaccine?
We have more than a vaccine. We have the ability to boost the immune system of our students. No. In the absence of a vaccine. No. I'm happy to hear you say that. I'm happy to hear you say that. You see, in the absence of a vaccine, okay, because you see, the clueless duopoly of the New Patriotic Party and the NDC, they've still not been able to really, do anything significant to arrest it as such, because the figures are self-evident. They've been escalating ever since. Even this MPP man will agree to that. So, my good friend, what's your name again? James, forgive me. Even James will agree to that. So, we in the CPP, we are looking at the situation from a different perspective. One of the first questions we always ask ourselves is, what would President Kwame Nkrumah have done? You understand?
Why? Are you still...
No. Because
President Kwame Nkrumah still the flag bearer?
No. We talk about President Kwame Nkrumah because it's clear...
Why don't you say, what would Ivor Greenstreet have done?
Well, he didn't win.
Yeah, but he's gunning to win.
Sure. But
so what would he have done? What would Indum have done at the time?
No. Indum owes money to a lot of Ghanaians. He can't do anything. you see, but he owes money. He wants to be arrested. He has destroyed the lives of hundreds of thousands of Ghanaians. He and Pastor Mensa Otabil need to be in jail. But that's another story. Wow. You see, what we are saying is that we want to boost the immune system of our students. And we want to do so by cultivating and giving to our students sour sap, the fruit called sour sap, or aluguntubi. Yes. You see, because in the absence of a cure, we must take actions that supplement the president's directive of hand washing, social distancing, masking up, and boost the immune system of these kids. And at the same time, make money and create jobs. Because you see, that is another fundamental failing of President Akufo-Addo.
All right.
He's not able to create jobs. Kwame, I'm landing. So what I'm saying here is that we need to take the opportunity to suppress the virus by giving our youth, the future of this country, this immune booster, natural immune booster, which could also create jobs. Right. So these are some of the ways that we want to tackle it. We are not just going to sit down and cry and come and give press conferences that are, some people call it a campaign type press conference, as if to address the virus and still doing the campaigning. We want to take concrete action that resolves the issue by boosting the immune system of the populace, that also create jobs and opportunity for the Ghanaians, because we can, kill those two birds with that one stone.
All right.
You understand? So, again, I cannot but help and appeal to especially the youth of this country. Look at your life. Look at your future. And if you don't come and join the CPP now, you're making a big mistake, because together we can change the trajectory of this pandemic in this country and be a beacon to the rest of the continent and indeed the world. Only going to bring it's a very much in high demand fruit that boosts the immune system, and even people in the UK are clamoring for it.
Thank you very much.
This is an opportunity. Now, I know that President Akufo-Addo has not got the ear to listen to people like me, but you go to the Flagstaff House, if ever you are invited to the salad festivals, you could chip in this. You understand? And let the president know that some of us in the CPP, we wish him success on behalf of Ghana. And these are some of the ways that they might want to consider boosting the immune system so that we can suppress the virus in the absence of a vaccine.
Well, let me read a few of the messages before I come to you, James, respectfully. Well, so Akrokari Junior Thierry says, watching you live from Akrokari. Joseph Agbeko Yedogla says, good morning to you, KOD. Parents have already paid for WASI. Government should refund the money to parents. This is another deceit of chopping money. Tell Marvin, Tall Marvin says, James Brown, you are not making, okay, well, maybe you didn't listen to him well. Ishaq Abdul Hadi Siddiq says, good morning to KOD. With the DRC issue, there are two dimensions. If the chief of staff really was engaged in corruption, then thumbs up to DRC government. But if it is a political persecution, then it's quite unfortunate. Kotoko Gameli says, good morning to KOD and to my indefatigable Gabo comrade. This loss of MPP MPs tells the Ghanaian people that the whole delegates are not happy with the government. Okay. Kotekaka Rich is watching us in Alogavo region. Isaku, hey, my brother. Isaku, trotro driver Isaku, says Ghana decides December 7th, 2020. An avalanche of defeat is staring at MPP and the NADO because the Akufo-Addo has demonstrated total disregard for the rule of law, total disregard for chieftaincy institutions in Ghana, total disregard for religious beliefs, total disregard for the sharing of the national cake, an appetite for vengeance, taste for collapsing Ghanaian businesses belonging to, my brother, goes on and on and on and on. Asiedun Ketia, Chairman Asiedun Ketia from Abra Asebu, Kwame Kese. I congratulate all the members who won the MPP primaries, but they should forget their seats this 2020 because the owners are coming back to take it. If we vote massively to change this government, nepotism will be a thing of the past. My regards to Honorable Felix Kwachufusu, Honorable Atufos, and hashtag #KigOutNana, hashtag Bring Back GM. Sunday, Daniel said, I like your topic. John Bachman says, it's from TAD, he says, MPP has totally failed us and we should remove them. Okay, all right. Let me see if we have a few more messages here before I come to James. We still have a lot of time on our hands to discuss other issues. Good morning to KOD. Tell the CPP man that I want his number. By Noah from Binduri. Master, put your number out.
Yes, I'm happy to Noah. 0247 531975. I'll do it again. 0247 531975. And you must join the CPP now. You must.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning to you, Kwame, and your guests. Please, I want to know, maybe from the MPP rep, does the president mean that the free SGS policy did not absorb exams fees from the onset? Rather, it's now that the government is absorbing it. I don't get it. Ellie from Abrepo in Kumasi. That's a very good question. So maybe you might want to touch on that, James. Good morning to you, Kwame, and your panelists. Please tell the MPP man that losing over 40 incumbent MP is a sign of their defeat in 2020. And as from Wale Wale sent in this one. Hey, this phone, I know they see top crowd. Paul from New Edibiasi says, the president is trying to use the podium that belongs to Ghanaians to campaign, but not addressing Ghanaians. Interesting. Good morning to you, Kwame. The CPP man has kept me laughing. I like his vibes. But the Siamese twins will dominate for a while. Ibrahim Mayor from Teshi Zongo sent in this one. Well, you have the power to change that if you don't want that to happen. Good morning to you, KOD, and to your wonderful panelists. I bet you this directive will only last for 1 week. If you doubt me, wait till the following week and you definitely realize what I'm saying. From Bawa, Bia in Tamale. Matthias inside Techiman says, please, KOD, I would like to know which type of voter's ID card the MPP members use for their just ended primaries. Kindly ask the MPP man for me. Thank you.
That's a great question, though.
Please, ask the CPP man, when will all the CPP various parties come together to form one formidable force? We are interested because we need another strong force. Emmanuel from Danso man sent in this one. And the MPP man for me, ask the MPP man for me, Whether the president is asking the police to all persons in the primaries to arrest all persons in the primaries who broke the law. If not, they shouldn't attempt arresting anybody. We will resist their arrest. Master, I beg you, don't go and be resisting. I don't want you to be beaten. MPP is actually the acronym for National Pickpockets. Mahama did well by mitigating corruption, but Akufo-Addo is endorsing corruption in unimagined proportion. The man is presiding over kleptocracy. Thank you, Mr. CPP man. I loved CPP, but it appears we need unity. Peace man from Navrongo sent in this one. Good morning to you. Please, I'm not blaming the MPP man for the fact that he cannot defend the MPP on corruption, since MPP is the most corrupt government in the history of Ghana. Praise from Obuasi sent in this one. Isaac Adu from Obuasi says, with issues of corruption, every Ghanaian must know the MPP cannot be trusted. There's much evidence, even from the studios, concerning the major political parties. Ghanaians come December 7th, we will vote them out. Thank you. Thank you too. Good morning to KOD and to my indefatigable comrade. I think I've read your message already, comrade Courage. Good morning to you and your panelists. In the president's address yesterday, he said the government is going to pay the examination fees for the final year students. Please, how is the government going to pay for something that's already free? Son of Man from Second D, Western Region. Asemi Dika, Juana Beka. Mr. Host, our President Akufo-Addo is a complete failure in the fight against the novel COVID-19 pandemic. He and his so-called scientists are always churning out outrageous figures to make money out of the situation. We shall vote them out in 2020. Ernest Everlove Kwashi sent this one in from Danso. Good morning to you, KOD, and I'm happy my dynamic politician, Honorable Kempis, is with you this morning. Clearly shows that NDC is coming back to power. We know for a fact that Nana Akufo-Addo has failed Ghanaians, and we are patiently waiting for December 7th to send the elephant back to the bush. He said, Fad, Kempis bodyguard. Your friend your friend, okay, you met at Swapem's wedding. Yeah. He said, NDC is coming like a guy. My brother, good morning, how be? Hey, Kempis, yeah, I remember your bodyguard. Yeah, I know him. Good morning to you, KOD. Mr. Soprano is too much. Anytime I see him on your panel, I become so happy. I become so happy the whole day. I love him. Imoro from Boko. He said, I love you twice. Good morning to you. I just like the CBB man, Benedicta from Atimota. Hey, Benedicta, him mama. This one simply says, MPP all the way. KOD, please ask the MPP man why their president, no, he's not their president, he's our president. You may disagree with him, but he's still the president of Ghana. Has never worn any nose mask before, yet he's enforcing it. Yo, good morning to you, KOD. I love your show very much. Thank you very much. Yo. All right, let me come to you, James Brown, for your submission on this subject matter.
Thank you again.
Yes,
KOD.
sir.
I must say today I'm very excited.
Please. Yeah.
Given the company of
Soprano.
I'm excited. I'm excited so much today. But on the matter of the resumption of school, I want to say that, like we've been saying, we are not in normal times. There are things that we must understand that, given the urgency of the moment, we must try to balance and adapt to the changes that we find ourselves in. Our brothers and sisters needs to go back to school, and this COVID should not create a situation where we'll remain indoors for the rest of our lives. We've all admitted that it has come to stay. Once it has come to stay, we must adapt, find new ways to live, so that we don't become, victims, of the circumstances. So I'm excited that the president has, put in place certain protocols that will ensure that, despite the fact that we are living in these dangerous times, there are still also measures that we can also adopt to make sure that we don't become victims of the circumstances. And so, let's commend the president. It's a very bold, effort that he's made. That even in these times, he's still thinking about the education of our kids and our brothers and sisters, to make sure that the future of this country is not mortgaged for the fact that the presence of COVID is here. And so I'm excited. I want us to channel our energies rather in trumpeting the safety protocols that has been put in place, rather than being so much alarmed about what if the children contract the virus. But rather, let's educate them and tell them that these are the safety protocols put in place. If you are able to ensure, and we are seated here Corona could be everywhere, not just in the school. But we have ensured that there's, in fact, I'm the only one who put on a mask, and
we all have it.
It's very typical that the NPP we put on masks, so it's contradictory, a clear departure from what the texter said about the president. And so I'm saying that there's a difference between tuition fees and, let's say, examination fees. WASI is regulated by a West African, it's a certification from West Africa, for West Africa. And so they are confused about the free SHS thing and all that. We are dealing with the tuition. The fees is still paid, but the president has demonstrated leadership in this time that, given the situation that we find ourselves in, let me sympathize with you. And this is one of many things that the president has done in these times. He's done that to support private homes. He's done that to support people who are aged and all that. And so let's not be surprised that he's taking such a step. Rather, let's commend the efforts of the president, that at this time when nobody expected COVID to be here, he has still demonstrated leadership and has shown Ghanaians that he cares about the people. And so, like I've said, let's channel our energies into teaching and letting the people know that this virus is here to stay and we can't remain indoors all the time. Let's step out and make sure that we practice proper social distancing. We put on the face mask and the nose mask. We make sure that we wash our hands. And you see, Cody, we are not talking about just the virus. We are looking at hygiene in totality. And I'm happy that this COVID has, brought the consciousness back to us that we must practice proper hygiene. And so it's not just about COVID. We must make sure that we wash our hands regularly, even when we find a vaccine for COVID. We must make sure that we don't, when we cough, we cover our mouths. We don't get too much into contact with people, especially through body fluids and all that. We must be careful in general, and not just about COVID. So I'm excited. When we talked about the fumigation of the schools, I was just thinking about, if we are only thinking about COVID, then perhaps there will be no need. But we are looking at hygiene in totality, how we are able to keep ourselves clean, so that even beyond COVID, there would be no underlying ailment that would affect the children. Because one thing that is critical about this COVID is that when you have what they call comorbidity, when you have underlying sickness, it worsens the case. But if for COVID alone, there's a way to treat it, or there's a certain standard to follow. But we are making sure that the Ghanaian culture, that the Ghanaian way of doing things will be, properly defined, where we'll be conscious of our personal hygiene, so that we don't get unnecessarily ill, because that will also affect the human capital and the working effort of this country. That's my take on that.
Splendid submission by all standards. Let me say a special good morning to you, Dr. Anaba, who is, who owns Habana Hospital in Tamale. You're watching us this morning. He was a former Ridge Hospital, what was that? CEO for Ridge Hospital. He's the CEO of Habana Hospital in Tamale. You're doing a watching. Good morning to you. Also, a special salutation to the incoming MP for Nalerugu Gambaga constituency, Honorable Alhaji Baba Seidu Isifu. Honorable Alhaji Baba Seidu Isifu, otherwise known as the People's Man. The People's Man. Certainly, the People's Man will become the People's Choice in December 7th, 2020. Now, it's important to now come back and discuss the MPP primaries. The MPP primaries. And I would want to respectfully beg my technical team, if they do have just a little snippet of the promo that was put together by David Atto, and, so we can just have a feel of what it was on Saturday when the people went into the battlefield. Some of the Goliaths falling and David's winning, and the unexpected happening. So if Adam can respectfully, I know I didn't tell you before now, but I think that we should just make it exciting. Let's at least hear Kukurudu, MPP,
I like how you sing that song.
Let's have a feel of we know. So let's just watch this briefly, and when we come back, we'll look at the almighty MPP primaries that happened over the weekend. Keep watching.
The time for the final decision is here. The new patriotic party, the NPP, goes to the polls to elect parliamentary candidates to represent the party in parliament in the 2020 elections. The battle lines have been drawn to elect representatives across the country. Who gets the tickets to go to parliament? For in-depth analysis, discussion on the election, join David Otokuno Ato and Justice Apia and the team on Saturday 20th June for up-to-the-minute analysis from 7 a.m. till polls close. NPP Decides 2020, live on Pan-African Television.
So you saw that. Kokorodo. You know why some people lost? Some of the old guys, they lost because, you know, when was it Kofo's time? You know, before they came into power, when the NDC was in power from 1993 all the way to 2000 and what? 2000. That one, you could hear the kukuru, kukuru, kukuru. Now when they won 2004, then it became Kokorodo. Kokorodo. They chopped the money and they didn't talk Kokorodo again. So I'm just thinking that the old folks who lost, they couldn't shout Kokorodo again. We needed the likes of John Kuma, we needed the likes of Vincent Asefua, we needed the likes of Dr. Adwal Kisi, we needed the likes of Stephen Amoa, Michael Ochebefi, and all of these young Battels, you know, all of these young people to now come and say, Kukudu, Kukudu. Because all the old men, Asibe Abua and all the others, are Kogrod. Obo could have done a very good job at saying Kukudu, but unfortunately, you know, somebody said that we will vote for him when we can see his neck. Oh no, don't worry. My show is that flexible. We'll make it very exciting. Anyway, so let me come to actually let me start with the NPP man.
Yeah.
Primarily because it's your party that went on that journey of confusion, journey of the inevitable, journey of no return, and generally, what would be your assessment of this primaries before we get into the substantive matters?
Well, it's been full of surprises. I should admit that this primaries, although some were expected, some were also, you know, it generally came as a surprise. And this morning, I'm sure most people have not still recovered from the shock that they were treated to as far as Saturday's elections were concerned. But let me, you know, say a very, you know, good morning to Madam Dakwa Newman, who won from my constituency against the incumbent, the Honorable Ahmed Arthur. Yes, it was a fierce contest, but
what happened to the Nafedia?
I know your favorite. He didn't emerge.
Oh, he's the only person. Who's the only person who didn't win out of the list? My list.
My good friend.
Yes.
I'm touched and I'm sad.
He didn't.
Yeah.
Please, because they were.
Now, Nafedia, people were dashing TV screens and flat screens and things like that. Nafedia said we should have discussed out.
Oh, sir.
No, that's politics in the scout.
That's why you're related.
Oh, Debbie, because I'm related for Indiana and Wisconsin. Nafedia, he's a very modest guy. Please.
But you see, very importantly, we want to look at it from the point of view that the NPP has a tradition. And the tradition that it believes in, if you remember the Dumbo, the Danquers, and the Buziers, is a tradition that, you know, believes in service and loyalty and dedication towards the NPP as a party, your service to it and all that. And so for me, the Saturday's event was an event that gave true meaning to the character of the party, where we believe in democracy as a party that is highly democratic, of course. And so
monocratic or democratic?
Come again?
Is it monocratic or democratic?
Oh no, this is the apex of democracy.
Monocratic.
Democracy. Okay. You see, we don't pick and choose. We allow the electorates to decide who they want and who they want to best represent them in the December 7th elections. And for me, that is very, very important. We've seen several times, I mean in times past, where, you know, aggrieved electorates, people who are so aggrieved because, you know, party hierarchy are, as it were, seem to be manipulating, you know, systems just for some people. In this case, you can tell that people who were even top-notch people were seen falling. And so it tells you that there were no hands that were, you know, trying to manipulate things, sort of. But I'm worried a bit, because if you are a government that is, you know, looking at mobilizing the best pair of hands that you have, at a point where you have, you know, you are nearly ending the first term and looking at extending your term, where you lose such, you know, best hands from parliament and all that, it's very worrying for me. And I know that the party leadership will find a way to chart a path of reconciliation so that nobody feels hurt. Because frankly, I can tell you that most people did not expect that they were going to lose this primaries. It was very unfortunate. And those people, we know that they were going to play a very key role in the upcoming December 7th elections. And so if they have lost, we must find a way to quickly patch up and bring everybody into the circles again.
That's always been a difficulty, isn't it?
It is. It is very difficult. It is very difficult.
When they know the role that money played in this particular contest. I mean, look, people were ousted primarily because others had more money to spend than them. You know, and sometimes really, I'm not in any position to question people's competencies because I have not put them to strict test or proof, right? So I cannot sit here and question people's competencies. However, when it is very axiomatic, right, that money has taken center stage in our body politics, especially when we want to elect people to represent us in parliament, you know, I think the question about competence and intelligence must reign supreme, as opposed to money and moneycracy and, you know, and voting for people because there's one particular MP that we like who has recommended us to vote for another person to represent a certain constituency. I don't know if you are following my argument.
Yeah, I get it. It's a huge challenge. It is you know, a character of our politics that has come to stay for a while. It didn't start just today or yesterday. Over the years, even people who are going for, you know, party leadership positions like regional or constituency leadership and all that, you find the influence of money everywhere.
What has accounted for that in your estimation?
The satisfaction on the part of the delegates, people who feel that there's a clear, you know, gap. There's a big gap between those they voted for and those who are going to vote for them. They don't feel part.
Because the real meaning of government hasn't been properly defined and acted upon. The real meaning of government is grassroots participation. When people feel alienated from the process of governance,
exactly,
that is when, and you see, and of course, when also in that process of alienation, they are also bereft of certain development, and the people continue to wallow in abject poverty.
Thank you.
The only way out for them is to ensure that they milk you dry when you come back to them for that. But in the process of doing that, there's a bigger enemy that, you know, will be lingering, which is lack of development. In our attempt to satisfy our parochial interests as a you know, because of the fact that political parties do not deal with our own nuances, right? We end up just spoiling everything for everybody. Because then we elect leaders that are not really competent.
Well, that's true, but I can tell you that given the list we have seen, those who have emerged winners at the various constituencies,
undoubtedly,
I can tell you that their competence is never in doubt. And I'm sure that, let me send a strong signal to the NDC that they shouldn't be excited about what happened on Saturday for us, because we are very much prepared, regardless of the outcome of the primaries. And so the party, like I'm saying, I'm charging the leadership of the party to, as it were, try to chart a path where everybody will feel belonged, and not that people have lost and so they'll feel remorse. I mean, they'll feel hurt and left out, and it's more so because the party just came into government, and people. I'm saying that the party, this is the first term. This is the first term of the party.
That is a fact.
And people have worked for the party when we were in opposition. And they are in government today, and some of them have been ousted out. I mean, going for an election is not easy.
I know.
So the party must take up that responsibility as soon as possible and make sure that they open their arms and brace everybody in, and make sure that those who will still be relevant to government should be make sure that they participate in the governance process as far as this country is concerned, so that we can know, because we are very fine pair of hands that have exited parliament. And I'm worried. A man like Dr. Makasibe Yeboah is a very fine gentleman. I've not met him one-on-one, but
I've seen
him, his presentations and all that. I'm so worried that he's left. He's left. Another Ochawa Buaji and all that. But I know their substitutions will also equally do fine jobs. I have no doubt at all. So on the whole, it came with so many surprises. But we are confident that December 7th is assured.
Kempis, I'm coming to you back briefly. So I have this quick announcement, right? So the burial of our brother Kwame Dennis, late mom, is on the 4th of July. So the mother of Kwame Dennis has died, and the burial will be on the 4th of July 2020 at Tapa Amanya in Oti region. Tapa Amanya in Oti region. Friends and sympathizers in and around should join our brother Kwame Dennis to give his mom a very befitting burial, as it did mine when my dad died. All the COVID-19 protocols will be adhered to, so you should be rest assured that definitely you're going to be safe out there. And he said I should tell you, Soprano, to join the NDC because to oust the MPP out of power, because CPP can never win. That's what he's saying. And he continues to say that you are a good communicator. You are misapplying your great skills in CPP. So you should come to NDC, come and join NDC, and they will make you fishers of men.
He's so condescending.
He said not only 2.6% of the votes, unfortunately. Kempis, let's hear from you.
Yeah, the fallout from NPP primaries. So many lessons have been learned from the primaries. Some are positive, some too are negative. Let me start with the positivity.
Yes.
You see, some with all the societal elevation still keep touch with the base. That is, we have some ministers of state who did not create wedge between themselves and the base. So all the 4 years they occupied that highest echelon of the others, were able to go to the base and keep touch with them, maybe funerals, birthdays, outdooring, sending projects, and the rest. That's why some of them went through like hot knife through butter. And those who also fell victim of the just ended primaries were also those with all the societal elevation, thought that they are champion. They consider the literate as village champions, who did not touch base. Now, let me expatiate on that.
Please.
Let me expatiate on that. You see, the point is, in politics, every time I keep on saying that, if you apply to, let's say, VACO, TOR, and SOEs to be managing director, they engage you one-on-one with the interview panel.
I see.
So if you assume that position, it is you and your family. But if you jettison that and you want to do certain trajectory and enter into politics, then you know that your will your power spring from the will of the people. So there must be that sort of bond between you and your people. That's why you said that financial relationship between you and your people. And this type of cycle comes every 4 years. So delegates use that 4-year cycle to punish those who create wedge between them and the people. And so many lessons were learned. One, the negative side. seriously speaking, they display sheer opulence. Opulence was at display. And when he was saying that they are the beacon of democracy, we said, is it democracy? Democracy, they're out because those in NDC, we've extended the universal adult suffrage to cover 9 branch executives in the police station. So to start with 9 times 33,000, we have got no more people who go to champion or canvas the other thing for their preferred.
Not the number per se, the process.
No, what I'm saying that we don't know. It's the same processes. It is conducted by EC, the same processes. But what I'm saying, in our case, the 9 branch executives, they were elected by the polling station members. Those because the police station should be conterminous with the branches, so they were elected. We don't handpick people to be executive, to be police station executives. But in your case, you handpick. So in terms of people espousing democracy, we are far better than the NPP on that. Now the extension of the suffrage, the universal adult suffrage cover people, we have 9 per branch, but you have 5. So on that score, we are ahead of you. We are ahead of you by four members. So because we have got limited universal adult suffrage, it creates room for people to use money to pave their way. And seriously speaking, this is the first time in the checkered history of this democratic dispensation that I've witnessed where opulence was at display, profligacy was display at the just ended NPP primary. People were giving dollars, people were giving. You see, because I listened to Anopaboso Peace FM from early morning to the time the poll ended, and the commentary being run from one constituency to the other. Everywhere they went, money. Others won not because they are competent, not because they are the best materials, because the highest bidder we paved way. And also, there was skepticism too in some of the some of the constituency. So this also is the negative aspect that the weaknesses were not linked from this Ayawaso issue. Yeah. If President Akufo-Addo were able to implement the recommendation of the white paper, of the white paper, it will send shivers of fears to NPP people that, hey, look, if you take the law into our hands, the law will be at arm's effects. But because they rubbish the white paper, it emboldened some of them to display machoism. What happened is where one lawyer was beaten to pulp. Your internal election, this is not an internal election. So this will send a signal to NDC and CPP of what NPP are planning towards the main election. And also the requirement. Voters, your party ID card, voters ID card. You NPP and 2 or 3, Atik Mohammed and other political parties, they are normally doing infinitesimal, supporting EC to compile new register, dismissing the old one. But in one of your requirements, you dependent upon voters ID card. The voters ID card of which you said it is flawed. You use it last election in your primaries. So this goes to defeat.
No, it's still a valid.
No.
Until a new one comes in, it's still valid.
No.
If today there's an election, it's the same card.
When I'm saying that, if you know that it is valid, then you should have created room in your argument to embrace that.
No.
But you condemn it and you use it in your primaries. So what type of double standard is this on that score? Then in your own internal election, because you don't know the time they give the time frame, three of their decisions were dead. But the money to vote in your own internal decision. Then what about the larger spectrum, the picture that you create during the 7 December election? Then quite apart from that, you were saying, you see, do you know why parties organize primaries a year to the general election, that if this big
conflict
the aftermath conflict, they say they don't able to manage or massage it. So before it gets to the general election, they've healed wounds.
Sure.
But in your case, you have got 4 or 5 months. If you want to know that December 7, around November, and more to the point because of this COVID-19 arrest, so they will, no matter what, will never organize big rallies. So we have got about 4 months for this house to house campaign. What time will you use to heal that wounds? What time? Because certain wounds can be healed.
I agree.
Certain wounds can be healed. So what time? So but the point is, if nature is against you, you see yourself committing blunders, blunder upon blunder, blunder upon blunder. And this, I like the fallout from the NPP primaries, and it gives NDC the way forward. We've learned a lot from you people.
Thank you.
We've learned a lot from you people.
Thank you.
That lot that we've learned, that is, will also strengthen us to do better. And we also make sure that, so if Mahama said boot for boot, he had a reason for saying boot for boot. But you do internal election, you do not take you from the Owusu incident, and you repeat the same in some of your areas. You all internal the same. Then what about?
We've seen worse.
What about NDC, CPP, and the rest join the fray during 7 December election? Then you visit Mayhem. Whatever. Then we are ready for you people.
Thank you.
So I'm saying that comparatively, NDC and MPP, in terms of parties who practice democracy, you play second fiddle to NDC.
Thank you very much. Good morning to you, Kwame. Tell the CPP man to rest and join other small parties in alliance against the 2 bigger political parties. That's how they can win elections in Ghana. I'm Emmanuel from Akachi in the Volta region. KOD, please tell James Brown that civilians' lives matter. Thank you. This one says, what about those SHS students from Togo, Nigeria, etc.? How do they get back to school since the borders are still closed? Selassie from Qatar sent in this one. MPP is going to lose the Anyaso Otum seat for electing Adama Okisi. George from Sandema. Hey, Master, why? Don't be...
Your man.
If Adama Okisi had not won, they would have lost that seat poto. But because he has won, you know he's loved by both NDC and PPC. That guy is a very...
You invite him to the show.
Oh yes. Yeah. Oh yes. But you know, Wednesday he'll be here. The MPP is going to lose... okay. Master, stop that thing you are doing. Propaganda. KOD, you have an employee to pay because your program makes me cannot go to work again. You are too much. Hey, man, inside war. Hey, Charlie, I have employed you. Don't worry, I'll pay you. For God and country. Alhaji Hamza and Pefam says, in my humble opinion, I sincerely believe that the Honorable Michael Sibe should have been protected and be allowed to go alone. I'm surprised 65 members were protected and he was not amongst them, simply because he belongs to the Island camp. This is a man who has done a lot for the MPP in opposition and in government. Honorable Paransa is also affected because he belongs to the Island camp, which is very dangerous in our democracy. It's unfortunate the MPP panelists failed to address the monocracy syndrome in his party. He claimed his party is a democratic one. But what happened on Saturday clearly shows that the MPP is not a democratic party. Long live JDM, NDC is coming again. Eyezu, Eyeza, yours truly fad. PPs are not there to protect doctors and nurses, but the government have money for voters register. Power is their priority, but not human lives. Regards to Alhaji Abif, say this one is from Osman, inside Tamale. This is Chikata, watching from Pram Pram. The just ended MPP primaries is a clear indication to them that Ghanaians are really suffering under this government. They should have allowed the MPP MPs so as to see the actual surprise. We'll kick them out come 2020 December. Mr. Host, this government with 120 ministers are not up to the task the Ghanaian people entrusted them with. Your message is quite long. Ernest Eval of Kwashi from Danso. Apologies to you. I think I read the first message. Please, Kwame, ask the MPP man if they are doing well. Why are their own delegates voting out the performing MPs? Ernest from Wale Wale sent in this one. Nana Mariam says, hello, good morning. Why is the government paying for senior high school registration fees and not paying for teacher training licenses fee? Kwame, please let James Brown know Help us. That the president wants to mean. Okay, I think this one I asked the question already. I posed it to him already. Good morning, KOD. Tell James Brown to stop telling us lies, because what went on Saturday was not what we call democracy, but monocracy. And also, why didn't they allow every candidate to be voted for, but some were acclaimed by the constituency executives? MPP really get moved. Efo Kojo from Anloga. Let me read a few of the messages on WhatsApp. Then I come. So probably your time. My time. Let me come to you.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you. And I'll seek to be brief. As we discuss the wanton display of corruption that the NPP was wallowing in over the weekend. You understand, Kwame? When I looked at the amounts of money, and I have here with me the Punch newspaper talking about a certain attorney, a lawyer, Edward Osei Kofi, who paid 3,500 Ghana cedis to the delegates. I wanted to strongly send a message to President Akufo-Addo to have him arrested for open bribery. You understand? He confessed himself. James, I will address you as a representative of the NPP. You see, Ghanaians voted for Nana Akufo-Addo because of his persona and what we believed he was bringing to the Flagstaff House. You understand? We looked at the pedigree of Nana Akufo-Addo. You know, when you look, you see, Nana Akufo-Addo, when the coup happened in 1966, he was about 22 years old. He was a fully grown man. He comes from the home of J.B. Dankwa and President Edward Akufo-Addo, the former Chief Justice. Buzia and co. So, Nana Akufo-Addo, we expected, you see, we think
the most prepared leader.
He's the most prepared leader we've had in this country. You understand? And Nana Akufo-Addo, me, I want to be like Nana Akufo-Addo. You understand? Who wouldn't want to be like Nana Akufo-Addo? He's a great guy. He's a great lawyer. He's everything that most Ghanaians youth would want to be. And then the Ghanaian people voted for Nana Akufo-Addo to be president. And then he's presiding over such wanton corruption.
But this
let me learn.
label this corruption.
No, it is corruption.
Hold on.
You see, when we are open bribery, and they said, if you don't believe me, then go and arrest Edward Osei Kofi, who has said he paid 3,500.
Why did he say that?
In the Punch newspaper, right here.
Read it.
Sure. So I'll cut to the chase. KK, they're talking about KK of Fox FM in Kumasi, revealed in the course of the show that he had a brief conversation with one of the failed aspirants of the New Patriotic Party primaries. He revealed that aspirant was none other than lawyer and businessman Edward Kofi Osei, who contested for the Kumawu constituency. He said, I have a small revelation to make. Nana Owusu. KK said lively. What is it, KK? My producer spoke to lawyer Edward Osei, Kofi Osei earlier before we started the show. We heard allegations circulating that he paid a lot of the Kumawu delegates a sum of 3,500 Ghana cedis each, but he still lost. He admitted he did pay the delegates to vote for him. KK alleged, laughing. And now he wants to, he said he gave them something to buy a few drinks to quench their thirst. Essentially, he's trying to get his money back. You understand? So don't take my word for it.
No. What you read clearly said that he's not giving them money to vote for him.
Goodness gracious me.
No, but that's what you read.
I think the Ghanaian people would make the determination. You understand? So what I'm saying here is that we are massively disappointed that His Excellency, the excellent Nana Akufo-Addo, because Nana Akufo-Addo is excellent in his own private life. You understand? And he becomes the leader of this Kwame Nkrumah Republic of Ghana. You understand? And his party, the New Patriotic Party, with Nana Akufo-Addo at the head, is doing this. Listen, we are massively disappointed, and that is why some of us in the CPP, we are confident, and we are mobilizing Ghanaians and urging the youth of this country to proceed to the polling station on election day and at the ballot box, vote to overthrow Nana Akufo-Addo. You understand? We cannot continue. Nana Akufo-Addo was our last bet in the absence of the CPP government. You understand? And look at what is happening. But let me stay on point here. Kwame, I wanted to use the opportunity to congratulate Mr. Esiedun Ketia of the occasion of the NPP primaries, to congratulate Honorable Esiedun Ketia. You see, I used to think that his speech was very peppery, for lack of a better description. But over the past couple of years, I've seen a massive transformation in the approach of Esiedun Ketia, and I think that history would find him a statesman, especially because of the way he has tuned the National Democratic Congress so that it is not a few people who can be bribed to vote. Now the NDC, when they are voting, everybody at the polling station can vote, and you cannot bribe everybody. We want a situation where all registered members at the polling station vote for the MP, you know, the contestant. If we do this, there will be too many people to bribe. You understand what is happening? The NPP, this is a disgrace. We are very disappointed in you. People like Dr. K. Ebusia, they are turning in their grave. In case you don't know, how can you preside over this, Mr. President? You understand? And in any case, when I looked at the amount of money they were spending, Kwame, I couldn't help but remind Ghanaians of the fact that President Akufo-Addo, when he assumed office, he, you know, collapsed these financial institutions, and people like my mother, who has worked all her life for this country, she was working for the civil service. She was a nurse, okay? They transferred my mother to Atebubu, Yendi, baby, everywhere she went, and she saved her money, coins, and she put it in Gold Coast, and then in Ingram's place, and then God created President Akufo-Addo. And the president and his party, they have seized my mother's money. She can't even get money to buy high blood pressure medicine. And this weekend, we saw the NPP throwing money around like trash. You understand? And they say they don't have money to pay my mother.
Somebody's private money.
No. The president cannot say somebody's private money. They use the money in the name of the NPP.
Somebody's private money.
You understand? We will never let the NPP rest. The president must pay my mother, and people like my mother their money.
It's unfortunate.
Look at the money they've been spending. The wanton dissipation of resources, whether from their pocket or because they are aspiring to hold national positions. You understand? So how can you say this is private?
To what he's saying. When you were in opposition, were you displaying that opposition?
But let's be factual.
This is not new. It is not new.
It doesn't make it right.
Exactly. So don't say they're using topics to do that.
But I think that he's raised a very important subject matter, which I believe, you know, all of us must contribute, you know, in addressing. He raises a very fundamental issue about the financial sector. For instance, the financial sector cleanup, which has, even my mother was affected. My mom was saving with Gold Coast, you know, was it GN Bank in Mankasim, and she's affected. She's affected. Some of us have had to now bring money out from some, you know, just to take care of them and make sure that they're. It's not easy. So I think that if we're you know, and the president is saying that he's going to only pay them 50%, you know, after the fact, so it's crazy. So when people see clear opulence, you know, people are alarmed, especially when the government in power is the one conducting these primaries. You know, it raises, and especially also when you have people who are deputy chiefs of staff, you have people who are CEOs. Are you following? So people will raise questions, and I think that it's well placed. It's well placed.
So in conclusion, if I may,
I'll give you 1 second, and then you just wrap up.
So what I'm saying is that we are disappointed in President Akufo-Addo. We congratulate Honorable Esidun Ketia for showing Ghanaians a certain way, which we hope all political parties will come and toe that line. You understand? And we use this opportunity to appeal and remind President Akufo-Addo that he owes our parents money. We are going to take that money back. You understand? He should arrest Pastor Mensa Otabil and Papa Kosindum. And if he cannot arrest Pastor Mensa Otabil and Papa Kosindum, who are holding our properties, our monies we have proposed severally that President Akufo-Addo should go ahead and confiscate all the ICGC church auditoria, so that at minimum we can use it for the one district, one factory project, and let Pastor Mensa Otabil and his friends return the money to us. We will never let Pastor Mensa Otabil rest. We feel that Pastor Mensa Otabil and his friends are influential in the government. If we cannot get our money on this planet Earth, on judgment day, people like us will petition Jesus Christ and God so that Pastor Mensa Otabil will never go to heaven. The president should make sure he pays our money back. My mother cannot even get money to buy high blood pressure medicine. You understand? And then you are spending all this money, paying 3,500 to get somebody to vote for you. And we also want lawyer Edward Kofi said to be prosecuted for corruption. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Good. I'm excited today. I'm very much excited.
Thank you very much. That's all my name is Kwame Owusu. So let me say a big thank you to my wonderful Robert Kempe Sofosuwa, who is the former mayor of Tema. Super excited to have had you today. I'm grateful for your in-depth analysis of the issues. Thank you very much for you know, depth of gratitude going out to you. Thank you. And of course to Soprano Sapon Sylvester, who undoubtedly is campaigning for the CPP to come into power and arrest all the economic quagmires that we've been plunged into by the Siamese political parties. And also a big thank you to the evergreen James Brown, who is emerging to become one of my favorite political, what am I supposed to say? Commentator in Ghana. James, thank you very, very much. I mean, you trust me, you'll go far. Trust me, you'll go far. I promise you that. I'll see you guys tomorrow. But before I do leave you here, let me extend a heartfelt gratitude to the guy who does my African, my kaftan. I mean, if you want his number is 0242 53 6003. I repeat, 0242 53 6003. His name is Peter. When you call him, mention me, and then he will give you a great discount wherever it is that you are. And Ambassador Sampiale has sent in a message. He says, on behalf of Alaji and Alaji, may I extend our warmest congratulations to our colleague and brother, Dr. Adma Okisi. We wish him all the best, Ambassador Sampiale. No, don't allow. Okay. I have seen Dipku Ishmael's message. Dipku Ishmael, WAO Traffic, says, share to you all, champion, it is very lucrative to be an MPP delegate, so I'm not surprised some security personnel voted on Saturday. Why didn't the police arrest the unmasked MPP supporters? Are they more Ghanaian than the rest of us? Greetings to Bonas NDC Regional Chair. I have also seen the message from Old Major in Agbozome, Supreme Commander. The former mayor of Tema looks very much like my late dad, and I also look like him. Can I have his number? Secondly, it is said that coming events always cast their shadows. The defeat of as many 40 certain MPP MPs shows the defeat of the ruling NPP party on this, December 7th. NDC all the way. You say he definitely looks like you, actually. Yeah, he looks like you. Old Major. So just punch your number for him. There you go. Okay, so there you go. Punch your number for him. My name again is Kwame Owusu. So a big thank you to my producers, Tina and Justice Apia. I'll see you guys, and to all the guys, I mean, Edem and his team. Grateful to you guys for such a wonderful job today. My name again is Kwame Owusu. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Do have a very blissful day. Stay safe, protect yourself at all times. Wear a nose mask. Physical distancing is important. Wash your hands under running water with soap for at best 20 seconds, and of course apply hand sanitizer. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Do have a very wonderful day. Thanks a lot. Salute. I'm out.
He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer and the champion of liberty, of human equality. Let's salute him, fellow Ghanaians, the nation's founder, Sergeant Kwame Nkrumah. May God bless him, Ghana show boy, Africa's great son, Sergeant Dr. Nkrumah.
What's wrong?
They took all my precious stuff.